judge facing heat for releasing alleged DC teen shooter donated to Soros tied fund, posted about being woke. I warned y'all about these George Soros judges and AGs and DAs and prosecutors. They are looking out for the criminals while victims are suffering, and our streets is mass chaos on especially in our big cities where these George Soros people run. It's mass chaos all over these streets, and it's disgusting. And then when you talk about it, people pretend like, oh, you George Soros is the boogeyman. You blame George Soros for everything. But when you look at it objectively, George Soros is funding these things, and so we're gonna show more evidence of that. Especially what's going on in DC is crazy that this kid is out on the streets. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon. That's where I talk about things that I can't talk about here. I got some great stuff over there, so check it out. So, all right, let's talk about this news here. Now, this comes from Fox News. From Fox News is Andrew Mark Miller. And I'm going to play the clip in a little bit, but he reported that a Washington, D.C. judge who released on bail a teenager accused of firing over 24 rounds at a car full of people along a busy street has a social media presence filled with progressive activism, talking about the judge, and a financial link to progressive mega donor George Soros. Now, I mean, this is crazy. Lloyd U. Nolan Jr., a magistrate judge on the Superior Court of the District of Columbia, is in the spotlight this week after he ordered that 18-year-old Amonte Mood be released from custody before his trial, despite accusations he sprayed a D.C. neighborhood with shots from an AR-15 while targeting a car carrying 4 people. Now, mind you, leftists like this judge are the same people that's saying law-abiding citizens like myself don't deserve or need an AR-15 to defend ourselves. But it's okay for a teenager to go out there and shoot up the block with an AR-15 and he'll get out the very next day. Make this make sense to me. Make this make sense to me. I'm telling you, these people are hell-bent on destroying our country. That's why they're allowing criminals like this kid to walk the streets. Nolan's online presence includes examples of progressive activism, including a post boasting about being woke, and a post promoting Black Lives Matter, and a post showing he donated to a fundraiser supporting a professor with ties to George Soros. A Facebook post shows Nolan donated to Gideon Promise, a group founded in 2007 through a fellowship from George Soros' Open Society. There we go. They're the same people that want our borders wide open. The Open Society Foundation, on behalf of a professor named Jonathan Rapping, a professor at Atlanta's John Marshall Law School, developed a venture which is, quote, devoted to training and supporting public defenders across the southeastern United States. We envision a nation where every person have access to zealous, outstanding legal representation necessary to ensure equal justice for all in the criminal justice arena, the Gideon Promise website states. Our programs and partnerships are unequivocally tailored to support and strengthen the efficacy of public defenders as a critical part of systematic criminal justice system. Public defenders are frontline advocates for the accused in the country, and we are committed to nurturing and developing their skills at every career level to produce fairer outcomes for America's most vulnerable citizens. Fox News Digital reached out to Nolan for comment on the social media post, but did not receive a response. And shortly after the request for comment was sent, Nolan's Facebook page was set to private. Of course, these people are cowards. They do these things, destroy our cities, and then when we try to talk to them, they shut you down. They censor you. They make their social media stuff private because they don't want to have that conversation with you because they know they are wrong. If he knew he was right, he wouldn't have done that. Nolan concluded that Moody, who was charged with endangerment with a firearm, possession of a weapon, and assault, was not a threat to the community, and approved a request to release him on house arrest with a GPS monitor on May 3rd. WJLA TV reported. So again, this guy shot up the neighborhood, over 24 shots with an AR-15. Mind you, again, these people don't want you to have an AR-15. And then this guy's out on the street the next day. Again, this is crazy. The decision to release Moody on house arrest prompted outrage from many on social media, and prosecutors with the U.S. Attorney's Office in Washington, D.C. requested an emergency hearing scheduled for May 22nd to discuss the matter and potentially reverse it. Quote, the government presented evidence establishing probable cause that the defendant fired an AR-15 weapon approximately 26 times at a car driving away on a public street in the 1700 block of Independence Ave Southeast, then disassembled the firearm and hid it away in a ceiling, the prosecutors wrote. Despite the egregiousness of this conduct, the strength of the case, including video evidence depicting it, and two identifications of the defendant as the shooter, and the statutory presumption in favor of detention pending trial, the magistrate judge released the defendant. They got video evidence of this dude shooting up the block, and they put him back on the street. I don't understand this. Again, criminals are protected while victims are left to their own devices. And then we don't have any devices because they don't want us to be able to defend ourselves. They don't want us to have the AR-15s. They want the criminals to have the AR-15s. A spokesperson for the D.C. court system told Fox News Digital all defendants, quote, have a presumption of innocence. Yeah, that's true. But when they got you on video shooting up the block, I mean, come on. In this matter, after hearing arguments from both sides and the arguments for detention, the judge determined that 24-hour home confinement on electronic monitoring with the education and social services already in place for the defendant that release on these strict conditions. So he gets to hang out at home. Did ensure the safety of the defendant and the public, the spokesperson added. The spokesperson also told Fox News Digital the defense, quote, relied heavily on the fact that Moody had no prior encounters with law enforcement and he was provided educational support and family and community resources. This is disgusting work. Quote, Judge Nolan conducted a very thorough hearing and spoke directly with defendant about the consequences of violating any portion of the release conditions, the spokesperson said. I don't get it. I'm gonna play this video clip to show y'all what's going on here. These are some of the this is him showing that he contributed to this the Gideon Promise thing. But let me play this video clip here from Fox News, where they talk a little bit more about what's going on in DC and why crime is so high. Again, they're protecting criminals. Let me play this clip here.
Washington, D.C. has seen this incredible uptick in violent crimes, finally hitting the homicide record that was actually predicted several months ago by the police union and by others. And what we have seen this year in the district, despite all of the violent crime, is the council there was tried really hard to change the entire criminal code in the district to make it, frankly, make the laws more lenient toward criminals. You know, Washington, D.C. already has some of the strictest gun laws in the country. But for the last 3 years, you have seen the vilification and the demonization of their police department. You have seen officers leaving, retiring, and you've seen a difficulty in recruiting new people to come to the job. And they have tried many things. They've tried special police officers to work in the neighborhood. They've tried more directed patrols. And because one of the problems we have in the district is the youth involved crime and the young victims. It's absolutely horrific. The mayor, who originally wanted to defund her police department and did take money out of the budget, has now been calling for more money in the budget. She's been calling for more police officers, but her council isn't entirely on board with that. What we have done, unfortunately, not just in Washington, D.C., but in other cities in this country, is we have spent, again, 3 years excusing the actions of young people and trying to enact laws and policies that do not hold young people accountable.
And that's the problem.
For
that's the problem. If these kids never get held accountable, they'll think it's okay to continue to commit these crimes because nothing is going to happen to them. They're not going to be prosecuted. They're not going to go to jail. So what is the incentive to not commit these crimes if you're not going to be held accountable? Like, this is and so they think, I'm like this kid here. He went and shot up the street and he's back home chilling on social media, eating mom's cooking and stuff like that. Like, how is he supposed to learn from this? I mean, it's, again, these George Soros judges and DAs and AGs are systematically destroying this country.
Violent crime. We also are increasingly living in a society where life is not valued. Very often the life of the offender. The offenders don't, young people don't value their own lives.
True.
They don't value the lives of others. They don't value others' property.
True.
And we have spent 3 years kind of encouraging this atmosphere of it's all about me and my feelings. Understand this about the United States of America. The Constitution of the United States says that we all get to pursue life, liberty, and happiness. And how do we do that? It's basically an agreement between all of us in the United States that I don't steal your stuff, you don't steal my stuff, you don't attack me, I don't attack you.
Yep.
We all get to live our lives until you violate the laws of this land, and then you are to be punished.
Facts.
We have taken punishment out of the equation, especially when it comes to young people. And so they commit these crimes knowing that there are going to be little or no consequences.
No consequences, no accountability. And the left the left continues to talk that defund the police stuff, and look what's happening to our country. But let me know what you think about this. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe. And check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.